Welcome to another episode of Rap Drinks, your favorite podcast put out by Shitty Rigs. I'm Mike Farino, and we're here with our guest, Yessica Curiel-Montoya.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast.
Are you excited to be here?
I am.
Quick shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Wink. It is a seltzer THC non-alcoholic. So Yessica is a gaffer, if that I am correct. And how long have you been in the industry? Start off there.
It depends on when you start counting, but roughly like 13, 15 years about.
And did you start off as a gaffer?
Sort of. I did start working. Well, I started as everything, you know what I mean? PA, AD on shitty stuff and art PA and whatever. But I kind of, since film school, I was working G&E quite often. And then I just went into electric because I felt more comfortable with it. I liked it more. Not a fan of gripping. I can do it a little bit, but sorry. More jobs for you. More jobs for you. No hate. I'm just like not. Yeah.
That's why Bert had you here. He's going to take you out. So no less
That's
competition.
fine, whatever.
Let's take it outside.
We should have a contest, I think.
A grip off?
Yeah, grip
He'll
off.
win.
Rip off.
Yeah, she just said she doesn't want
He'll
it.
win. That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, I still think you'd beat him.
Damn, you're gonna let her talk like that?
Yeah, Corey can do whatever she wants.
Okay. I'm not Corey, I'm Mike Farino.
Right. sorry. We all went to Mass Art. It's all the same.
Michael Farino.
What school did you go to?
I got my BFA in Mexico in the Universidad de Guadalajara. It has a film department, so I got my BFA there, and then I got my MFA here at City College.
Nice. Okay.
Did you do any projects out there in Mexico? While you were in school? Like
a little
short
bit.
films?
Yeah, a bunch of short films. I worked, I think, a couple features out there. One of them, but not as gaffer. One of them, I was the AD on. And it had like a theatrical release and everything.
How did you become an AD on that? Did you I want to be an AD, or just someone threw it at you?
No.
Like, I feel like you have to choose.
I barely knew, and I was like fucking 21 or 22 maybe. I barely knew what an AD was. So it kind of was like just, we were all kind of like trying our best, and the movie turned out okay. And yeah, that's it. But yeah, someone asked me to AD, and I was like, sure. I don't have anything else to do this summer.
Were you like, what is AD?
How does one
AD. What does AD stand for?
I feel like that came up in my episode of this podcast. It was like, you just say yes to things and then you end up doing them. And if you have like any shred of like skill or talent,
a bit of common sense,
yeah.
and also being able to like be okay with fucking up and then fixing your fuck ups.
Yeah,
you know what
like
I mean?
that.
Like that.
That was good. That was a good fix. That was a good fix.
But yeah, it's like you learn kind of on the job. And like I wasn't getting paid. You know what I mean? Right. It was all very self-funded. Like we were all doing it out of passion or whatever. So we were all doing our best.
And did you do it and it was like I AD'd and you were like, fuck it, I'm never ADing again? Or did you find your role while you were on that project? Like what was that transition that made you go, I want to be a gaffer?
Well, at the time I already knew that I wanted to be a DP, right? Like, okay. But I also knew that nobody was going to be like, hey, come shoot this feature for me.
Right.
And I knew that I'd rather work G&E than camera department, right? But
Why?
The people.
I don't know, man. I feel more comfortable, even though we in the department can be fucking nightmares, right? Like G&E people can be, but I don't know. I just feel more comfortable. Am I lying? Am I lying?
I guess.
It's so funny.
I guess you're lying.
Every time you say that, I look at Bert like,
I know. We're like, huh?
Bert?
It is I'm wearing a hat that says Grip Mafia. Like it's literally, it is a gang, you know? It's like,
it's like
you're good to your own. That's the thing. You're like,
sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Why do you say that? Why do you say sometimes? Because I know that on previous episodes when we talked to them, they always feel like once you're in there, I think it might have been BT that said it, that even if you're in that department and they're shitting on you because you're a PA in that department, they still look after you. Like if someone tries to be like, oh, don't talk to my PA like that, don't talk to my second like that. How does it work how does that, like, did you feel that same camaraderie? Camaraderie.
It depends, because also, for example, that I'm not a fan of, because it's like, oh, I get to be abusive to you, but nobody else can be abusive to them. And I don't think that's just healthy. You know what I mean? And I'll deal with it if I have to, but I don't think it's great. It's not my favorite thing, and it's very common with G&E people.
You don't think that's common with every department?
It's true.
Like the camera utility, it's like, oh, you're going to go stand in line and get everybody coffee right now. And you're not only going to be the bitch for our department, but you're going to piss off every other department because now they have to wait for 13 orders behind you. Like, it's like, I feel like every department kind of has that.
I would say, we can definitely say that it is in the entire film industry. It is very much a thing, the abuse and struggle. Like work harder because someone abused me, so now I get to abuse you if you want to get to this level or whatever. And it's true really for a lot of industries.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes in G&E I'm like, damn, I don't know if it's because it still kind of is mostly straight boys that are just a little bit harsher with each other and kind of
like
think it's okay.
Room.
I don't know. And there's like this sort of like, well, it's how it should be. Get a thick skin. Right. And I'm like, or maybe don't be a dick.
So
truly.
Now you're Gaffer. You're in charge of your department. Let's say, like, do you like? Because I'll say, like, when I was in New York, I worked as a grip. I liked working with the grips better. I also hate the idea of picking up cable out of the gutter because there's no, there's no dry gutters in New York. Like I'm not interested in wheeling around 4-aught in hampers and hunching over and pulling out 4-aught out of the bottom of it. Like that's insane to me.
But that's how you become a superhero.
No, that's how you throw your back out when you're 30 years old. So in New York, I gripped. Like I felt comfortable as a grip. Like I was treated well. And you're right. I'm straight white male. Like it's helpful for me in that world. But in New England, I'm electric, and from my experience, I'm treated way better by my electric bosses than I am by grip bosses in that part of and that's kind of like why. It's just a different kind of atmosphere.
I have a friend who was recently working in New England, and by recently I maybe mean last year or so, who was telling me he thought like the way the team treated each other and how much like class consciousness and like pro labor and everything was, he was like, it was amazing. It was nothing like New York. And he's a grip, right? But he's very, I don't know, nice. I think he's nice, and he was saying that about New England. He was like, people were far more like just respectful.
Oh, interesting.
It could be.
It's the New England way, guys. New England way.
Fuck you, come help me with this. That's the
New York way.
It's not even because I don't mind people telling me to go fuck myself. You know what I mean? It's just like the unnecessary like little torture, and I don't know.
So do you have any specific examples that you would be willing to share? You don't have to mention people's names or anything like that. I will not mention that. Yeah. But you would say like experiences you had on set. Like what was that experience when you got into the department like for you?
There was a little bit of everything. I've also had like many great, wonderful experiences. Yeah. But there was one job that I did where I was gaffing, and the DP came from 52, and he was an electrician. In 52 for ages, and then was DPing, and very much had actually two features and one show. It's different DPs, but it was the same situation where like they came from G&E and they were 52 electricians. Mm-hmm. And I was really excited every time because I was like, oh, they're gonna know what it takes to do what we do, and they're gonna be more like, we're in this together. I know this is where I came from, kind of, and like you're worse because you're indie, right? Like,
I feel like something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It was some of the most abusive shit I've seen, and just like screaming at one of them at the camera team, just like, out in the open, just like yelling, berating.
Is this like recent, are you saying, or like a while ago?
Like maybe 5 years ago.
Have you seen a difference now since then?
I don't really work features anymore. So I don't know. I work more like comfy jobs where
What's a comfy job?
fashion, commercials, like the most like difficult, like horrible shit that I do are like documentary interviews.
Yeah.
That's just like, oh, it's hard because we have to load into a location and set up lighting.
That's rough.
And then go home. Well, yeah, no. It's not easy.
It's not on a stage. What the fuck?
But that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, oh, I have to push like 3 hampers into these.
God damn it.
You know, whereas
All this
when
space
you're
in this
doing
elevator.
when you're doing a feature,
Yeah.
it's the trenches, man. And like you get a bunch of splits and overnights and everybody's consumed. And so very quickly they start getting, I don't know, abusive and like, you know, that thing of like.
The lack of sleep and like, you know, like if
yeah,
they feed you bad
and lack
or
of
whatever. Yeah, it's
therapy,
just,
you know, all of that.
So the abusive stuff you feel like just comes right now within the territory of working production. Have you felt, because you mentioned before, you know, there's not a lot of women in the industry, right? We have a lot of white males. So I'm wondering, how do you feel?
You just look at me.
No.
We all looked at you, Bert.
I choose to
think
not
I know
be.
where you're going.
I choose to not be in charge of shit.
Yeah.
Like I have no interest in.
Yeah, but
I didn't know. I didn't think we'd get to this part this quickly, but I'm here for it.
But
Let's
like
go.
she brought it up, and I was like, it's a
Let's
good
go.
point. Like, how do you feel about that?
You know what I think? There's this sometimes assumption that if there were more women, it would be better. I've also been on jobs where it's all women, and it's a nightmare.
Why?
Well, I think it's because we're in a system that encourages nightmare scenarios, right? Like crushing each other, thinking for yourself, only about yourself. And the patriarchy encourages women, right, to embrace these, let's call them not so great attitudes and behaviors to get to leadership positions.
Yep.
And this whole like lean in, girl boss bullshit. And the women who get picked to be in these positions, not always, right? But sometimes tend to be the ones that gatekeep.
Right.
Like,
no, yeah.
It's true.
And who behave.
Everybody thinks that everybody's trying to take their job.
Yeah. And like,
I've felt. I mean, not to. But yeah, it's like I've felt that too. Like when I was working in 52, I have a 41 card. I've had people tell me to my face that I'm not actually in the union because it's not the right card, like stuff like that. So it's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have a 52 card. Like, well, I've been doing this for 12 years. Like I would hope that I still learn something in my union. But it's like, is it that kind of shit? Like it's, oh well, I'm 34 and you're 32, so I know way more than you. Like, what?
do you want to hear something
I wanna
that
hear
I got
everything
on
you
a
have to say,
52
yeah.
feature that got me to like just avoid 52 for a few years?
Go for it.
I was day playing for this great gaffer who was like really, really nice and I don't know, just like a chill guy who did the job without like screaming or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of the other electricians, who it was his first job, he came from like theater lighting, whatever. He was like local one, whatever the other one is.
Yeah.
He kept, this is like 2017 maybe, 2016, can't remember, one of those years. He kept telling me that I, as a joke, of course, that I was taking his job 2 times over because I'm both Mexican and a woman. So I was like double taking his job.
Double
And I was
minority,
like,
right?
Even though he's working as well.
Yeah.
next to me. Yeah. and he was a company electric, right? I was a day player.
Yeah.
And the first time I was like, that's not a funny joke. But I was like, And then every time I came back, he like kept like, ha 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 ha. And I was like, that's kind of not funny, man. And he was like, no, it's a joke. I'm not racist. And this is before even Get Out came out. He was like, I love Obama.
Because Obama is Mexican and a girl. Yes,
a woman.
that's exactly what it is. A female.
And I was like,
Yes,
what?
yes.
So there's like that type of shit where I was like, I have more experience on set than you do. right? And I am definitely not taking your job because you're here and you're here more often than I am. And it's just so annoying to hear that over and over and over. And in a way, I'm like, he's saying it as a joke, but a lot of people are probably actually thinking it.
Right.
You know?
And he's saying it around a lot of people, I'm assuming, too, right? A lot of people can overhear. In production, everyone overhears everything.
They're not quiet.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, I have a funny joke to tell you, and I'm going to tell it again.
It's also not a stand-up show. You're at work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Yeah. So anyway, that type of... I feel like I've told that story to a bunch of people that I know a bunch of times, but I'm like, it really stayed with me. Because I was like... Oh, and then I think sky panels were, like, starting to be a thing. They weren't, like... They were common, but not, like, everywhere like they are now. And I remember there was one that was, like, on a turtle base, and it had the ballast on. And I just, like, picked it up with one hand. Like, I unplugged it, and I picked it up to take it somewhere. And he was like, oh, my God. The same guy, right? He couldn't believe I could pick up an S60 with a ballast with one hand. He was like, because that's, like, a 2-people job.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, an S60?
2 kindergartners. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm way better than you at your job.
I was going to ask, so it's like, do you find that a lot of the time people will come, like she needs help, and come up to her and just like, you can't pick that up? Like
Constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. I'll be carrying something, not even struggling at all. Like, I'll have it in one hand like this, and people run like, let me get that from you, you know?
Yeah. It happens to me too, all the time.
Are you offended by that?
It's not.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I'm offended by it. I'm like, just cut it out.
We each got a job to do.
2023. I can lift. I'm fine. Like, it's all good. You don't have to make a cute, funny joke about how I'm doing a big girl job now. Like, that happens all the time. Literally every single time in my life that I have ever walked into a hardware store. Or every single fucking time, excuse my language, every time I walk into a hardware store, be it a big box, Lowe's, or the local, it doesn't matter. The man working there will make some sort of comment about my gender, my strength, how I look. It doesn't matter. I'm not kidding, every single time. I reluctantly went to the Ace hardware store a little while ago because my favorite local hardware store, which is the one...
That's what you were saying, like,
like
this is from your episode.
Yeah, I told this on the episode?
No.
Oh, but you haven't heard it? Oh, yeah, I went to the Ace and
keep going.
And
no, your local one. You talked about your local one.
Oh, yeah. My local hardware store is amazing. I've never once gotten a comment. There's these dudes. One's like a rock and roll guy, and the other guy's like a car mechanic.
And you come in, they just go, sup.
And they're like, Corey, what's going on? And I'm like, Eric, what's happening? Like, and they're listening to Job Rock, and we all go like, and then I like get my shit, and then they're like, see you later, and I'm like, what's up, bye, and like, it's fine. That's it. That's all that ever happens. The only hardware store in my entire literal life that happens. Everywhere else, so they were closed. I had to go to Ace Hardware. They were about to close. It was like 5 minutes, but I really needed this thing because we were in the middle of a job and like something broke, whatever. I go in there and I was like, I know you're closing, so just tell me where this is and this is. And the guy was like, oh, I can help you with that. And he was shorter than me, which is hard to do. I am really short. To the point where I'm constantly like, why, God? Like, I'm constantly cursing my height. And my husband's like, you realize at this, like, you're not going to grow anymore. And I'm like, I'm going to break my legs in half and let them grow back together. I'm that short. Anyway.
Shorter than you. No, and it can be an asset. I am shorter than you.
No, you're not. Are you really?
Dead ass.
Don't fight about this.
Dead ass.
I'm just thinking about when you both were together, when you both walked in and said hello. I'm like, who's shorter?
We'll take.
You're like, look at those little fine ladies.
Okay, finish your story and I'll come back to the height.
We'll take a picture of you guys back to back after the episode.
I feel like you're taller than me.
No.
I don't know. Anyway, I feel like everyone's taller than me. Anyway, so the guy is like, oh, I needed some shims, right? Because fucking whatever.
To make you taller.
Yeah, to make me taller, to put in my shoes.
Inside.
And he's like, oh, they're and all I needed was an aisle number because I don't know this hardware store because I hate going there because of this harassment, whatever. And at that point, something fucking flew in my eye. And I was like rubbing my eye and I was like, whoa, aisle what? And he goes, oh, did something get in your eye, or are you rubbing your eye so you can do that trick where you asked me to look in your eye and then I look in your eye and you sneak a kiss.
What?
The man literally said that.
A
out
1950s film or something like that?
Yeah, he was like this 50-something-year-old dude. And it was like so elaborate. It was like such an elaborate fantasy. Like, it took him like 5 minutes to tell that terrible story. And I just was like, you're what? And I was in such a rush to just get out of there that I didn't say anything at the time. If I had had more time, I would have,
Well, they were
him.
closing, so
yeah, they were.
you can't. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't compartmentalize. Like, I can't fucking deal with this right now. Like, I'm
Pick
done.
your battles.
Yeah, I was just like, this is a battle for another day. And then I went to the aisle and I was like, thank you, but he wouldn't leave me alone. He's like, well, you could get it. Here's a shim. And he like handed me a shim and I was like, nah, I need a couple packs. And he goes, oh, you've got a big girl project going on, don't you? And I was like, I almost stabbed him, like, with my tiny knife around my neck. I was like,
if you didn't know how to set, I'm sure you would have like let him have it. If you have to go to work.
I couldn't and also because what happens in those situations for us is that it's just takes you out of your reality for a second. That you're like, it's like seeing an alien. You're like, you're not going to immediately know what to do or what to say, even though we've had so much practice.
Right.
Yeah, and you get pulled, but you have a thing to do.
Yeah.
And you cannot really let it distract you, even though it is distracting you, right? But you cannot fully engage with it because you know that the most you're going to get is nothing.
Yeah.
And you might get yelled at, pushed. I've been physically, like attacked on the street.
Yeah.
But for reacting or for saying no or, So you kind of just like, you have to keep doing your thing because you have a job, because you have a thing to get, because you have, whatever. And so, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I hate when like sometimes I'll tell these stories and someone is like, I would have told that guy that.
No.
I'm like, no, you wouldn't have. No. You fucking wouldn't have.
At the time, it's like, you're just like, you're busy, you're living your life. There's this weird thing that happened. You're like, I don't want to engage with that. Like,
exactly.
And then later on, you post a very long series of Instagram stories about the whole episode, and then shout out Dubbin Brothers Hardware in Delhi, New York, the greatest hardware store of all time, where no one ever does that to me.
Wow. So how does that?
I have a good hardware.
Do you have that?
Too.
Well, tell us that. But how does that play on set? Do you feel like that interaction with other males on set? Do you get that a lot of someone like hitting on you or talking to you in that way, or are you more aware of it than, let's say, a man is on set? Because I may
100%,
be clueless of it sometimes.
Motherfucking 100%,
10 billion%. Yes. Like, it's all you
Do
have
you
to
feel
think
like-
about it all the time.
And you know what? Usually when I see it happening to other women is when I get fucking incensed. And I'm like,
yeah.
And when it's happening to me, I'm like, this fucking asshole.
I hit on my male coworkers more than anything. Like, honestly, like,
Good for you, Bert.
there's just a couple of them. You gotta get in there.
Yeah.
They're cute.
They're cute and squishy. Just go.
Is it common on set still? Are
Yes.
you seeing it?
Absolutely.
Like,
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you
I remember.
fucking kidding me? Yeah.
do you have I want to definitely hear stories about that.
I forget what job I was working. There were 3 grips, 7 sandbags. I was working with a female. I picked up 2. She picked up 2. And the third guy picked up 1. And he looked at her and he took a sandbag out of her hand.
I'm going to flip the table.
I looked at her.
Don't.
I looked at her and I handed her one of my sandbags.
Yeah, man.
I had to give him one of yours.
Yeah, I was like,
here, carry mine.
I mean, it's like, I don't want to put more work on you, but you had to. So here's like, now you're where you were, right? She's like, this is fine. And then we all like, we're only walking like 20 feet, but I was like, why would you take this out of somebody's head? Like, even if it's a dude, it's a woman, who cares? Like, I would rather carry 2 because it makes you balanced. But like, he didn't say like, hey, can I take one of those for you? Like, he
was being a gentleman.
No, you're being a douchebag.
He was being a gentleman.
Hang on, because that's what I wonder too. Like,
You're just being sensitive.
sometimes on set, like I've seen something, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to carry more of this. I don't go, let me take one out of your hand. That's ridiculous. But I'll just pick one up and just walk with it more because I can probably hold more weight than a female. But I think it's also wrong to go to a female and just be like,
I hate the
Oh,
word
but,
female.
women.
it's
Oh,
one,
I
no,
hate
but,
the word
we
female.
are
We
we are all hired.
Women.
We're all the same. We're all doing the same job.
Exactly.
All of us were
Exactly.
thirds. We were all
Exactly.
hired
Okay.
with the same job in mind. We got there first. We had 2. He got there third. He had 1. That's what was left.
Yeah.
We're
Got it.
the
That's
same. It's all the same job.
Yep.
So
Yep.
why the fuck do you think you're better or you deserve more or they can't do it because they were faster than you in the first place?
So in that case, absolutely. I do feel like, because I grew up Hispanic, right? So I feel like,
did I.
I know you did. I'm
Didn't
agree
do
with
this
you.
later in life. When I was like 20, I decided to become Hispanic.
Well, no, I just wonder because like I grew up to be chivalrous, right? And there's a line. So I know because I definitely want more insight on this because it helps me learn too, right? Bringing
First
it to
of
the
all,
table.
She's gonna throw a
Stop
shoe
saying
at you.
female. Stop.
Okay, well,
Everybody,
yes.
everybody, stop
Yes.
saying female. Like it.
Yeah.
It, for
Female
me,
what? Female spider?
Female what? Yeah,
Female
exactly.
elephant? What
Am
the
I
fuck?
a
Female what?
lemur?
Yeah.
Woman.
Like a woman.
Yeah.
A
Okay,
woman.
great.
Yeah, a woman.
Great. Because I also say boys and girls, but boys and girls are no.
But there's humanity in boy and girl.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no humanity in female.
Female.
Inherently,
Oh.
female is
Yeah.
just a sexual, not divide.
It's an object.
It's sex in
Right.
any species.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And so it very often is used in dehumanizing ways because you very rarely hear male to refer to men. You hear men, but very, very rarely hear male alone. Just males are like this, and there was a male there, and I did it.
Yeah.
Almost never.
I'm thinking back.
There was
if
a
I've ever heard
guy, there
female
was a
like that.
man, there was a boy, there was a dude, but male?
Women are dudes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. Sure. You grew up Hispanic.
I grew up
you were
Hispanic,
saying.
and then halfway I decided to be Caucasian. No. Michael Jackson was my idol.
Oh my God!
Too soon?
Too soon.
I don't know. That's not even.
This episode of Shitty Rigs is brought to you by the comment section of YouTube.
No, but I'm just wondering because like there's chivalry in some of this stuff, and there's also like you're being too much.
Hang on.
Who invented chivalry?
What is the root of chivalry?
Talk to me about it.
Do you not know?
Chivalry is literally like combat arts. If you go back to it's not just about being nice to women. It's about being nice, period, and how to fight. Like that's what chivalry is. Like it's not just let me hold this door for you. Like, and holding the door for somebody is something you should do for everyone on set
I do
when they
that.
have fucking shit in their hands. Like, don't just do it because it's a lady. Do it because
I'm not saying
that
I
person.
just do it because of a lady, but I'm trying to get the other perspective to see like where is there a line that men can go, yeah, this is too much. Like the way you
The
talk
line
to
is
females
doing
on set.
anything different than you would for somebody else.
If you walked into the hardware store and you said, "Where are the shims?" they would go, "Aisle 10."
If you were a girl,
and that is all.
that would not be the answer.
If you're me or Jessica, you go to the hardware store, you say, "Where are the shims?" They're like, "Oh, what you making? Do you sure you need shims?"
I
Are
avoid
you
those
doing-
people too, though.
No, I do that because
they can happen.
I've gone to the
It can
hardware
happen with
store.
men, but that's the thing. It's like it can
It's
happen
different.
to men,
Yeah.
but it happens to us always.
100%.
Whereas
Yes.
with
Yes.
men,
Yes.
it can happen. And like the fucking amount of times that I have been called baby or sweetie
Oh, no, see,
at a
that's-
Home fucking Depot.
Oh, wait, by like a 50-year-old waitress?
Waitress?
Yeah, they call me
No,
baby.
no, no.
Oh,
Dude.
no, not that. Not.
They call me baby too
Oh,
in a
okay.
restaurant, right? But they call everybody baby.
Yeah.
The dudes working at Home Depot don't call you baby. They don't call you sweetie.
Not till
They
they,
don't
see my
wink at
ass.
you.
When I walk away, they get
They're
it.
like, wait, sweetie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's annoying.
Yeah, it's pervasive. It's extremely pervasive.
And it's
in the film
exhausting.
industry. And what you were talking about earlier about thinking like, oh, if it was all women on set, it would be better. It's like,
And sometimes it is, but sometimes
but when it's not, it's really bad. Like
So-
we've both had experiences with women executives or
Yeah, they're
department heads that are like,
not chill.
I'm like, I cannot believe you're treating the other women in
How are
this
they treating
industry. so like
So horribly.
really, really horrible, like undermining and gaslighting and
just fucked up.
Like,
and part of it too is like this thing of them trying to help you be twice as good or whatever, because they know that you will have to be twice as good to get da-da-da.
It's a different job, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But it's this thing of like, and it happens with people of color, it happens with women, you know, where they're like, if you're like me, I have to make sure that you're perfect because you're a representation of the entire group. So I'm gonna beat your ass. So you're perfect and nobody has anything bad to say about us and we're never late and we're always working hard and we're smiling and they demand like twice as much from you so that you're ready, supposedly, right, for when other people do it. I think is what I've seen and like heard their excuses being.
I've seen that, but I've just also seen people who are like completely miserable with their lives and they take it out on other people who are not miserable.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. There's also the simple explanation. There's more
both.
common.
There's definitely both.
Yeah.
What advice would you be giving to women on set that are working?
They got to figure it out. Like, I don't, you know, like it's not women that I'm worried about. They're going to be okay.
So what advice would you give the males on set to like
read it? Like, I don't know, fucking something about feminism. Leave us the fuck alone.
Yeah.
You know, that's gonna get me hate probably.
It's just
I don't know, man. It's just it's very complicated because sometimes it's just, you know, they'll do something, you know, innocent and out of trying to be chivalrous, chivalry.
Yeah, chivalry. I look at you every time.
You're just saying chivalry. Like you're.
there's an L. Chivalry.
Chivalry.
But
See,
chivalrous.
I'm shivering over here.
Math was my subject.
Well, out of trying to be like gentlemen. Are you serious? Using math as defense.
Yeah, totally.
And like, yeah, very often the defense is, well, I mean well. You know, I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be helpful. And I'm like, right, great. But if I go like this to put on my sweater or my jacket and I fucking break your nose, right? Because you were there and I didn't see you. And you're bleeding and your nose is broken, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I was trying to put on my fucking jacket. Why are you being so sensitive? Like, you know, I didn't mean to do that, but I did. Sorry. I guess next time I put on my jacket, I'll try to look that way before I do. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. You just made a mistake because you didn't know. You know, and it's not about like never offering women help on set, or because sometimes that's the answer that I get, right? Like, well, I'm never gonna.
You have to offer a coworker.
You have to exactly. See,
See
me as a person, not as a female.
This is why it's important that I want to bring it up because like we want to make sure that people are getting that balance.
So let me. You're a gaffer. You call yourself a gaffer?
What? Yeah.
Well, so there have been crews in the past where people have chosen to not use the word gaffer because gaffer comes from a sexist background. So now, and I think this is even stupider, they have switched to chief lighting technician. Are you trying to tell me that chief doesn't come from a background of like?
I was gonna say everything comes from like racist, sexist bullshit. Like
the entire Spanish language.
But that's the thing. Like, do you
gendered?
Do you not like the word, like the term best boy? Like, because I know some women that like I'm a best boy. I also know some that are just go, I'm the best, and like so there's that like I guess.
Are they saying I'm the best because I'm the best on set?
No, I know a lot of guys that say that, but I guess my question is, and this comes down to every woman, like where, like, and it does. It's like because some of them lean into it and they're like, I'm taking it back. I'm the best boy. Yeah. Like that's like, do you put it on everyone to try to get on the same page, or is it just like just fucking go to work and do it?
I think it's like a individual thing. Like I cannot. You know, I've thought about the gaffer thing before, and I'm like, it's whatever, because most people don't even know what it means. Yeah. Most people just know it's a film thing, you know? It's like,
Most people don't know it's I guess a gendered term. Like,
yeah.
didn't
There's
know
also I've heard like best boy has like a racist past or something, and it's just you gotta pick your fights. You know what I mean?
Right.
They call me Gaffer. I'm okay with that. Sometimes I've seen it like if I'm the best, they'll put BBE with my name, and for the grips, if it's a guy, they do write best boy.
Interesting.
So I'm like, that's an approach. You know what I mean? Like, I've also been called best girl electric. Yeah.
It's a conversation. It's like
just,
pronouns. It's like if somebody says, these are my pronouns, respect their fucking pronouns.
That's it. That's why
If somebody says, I'm a gaffer, if Jessica comes on the set and is like, I'm a gaffer, there.
Right.
She
The question
said it.
is answered.
She said
So
it
I
first.
guess that's
Right?
the thing. When you get a job, do you come in and tell them what your title's going to be, or do you just let whoever made the call sheet or whatever tell you what you're going to be?
If it's important to you,
Okay.
tell them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I guess a lot of this comes down to the perception and where that person's coming from, if they're helping you on set, if they're genuine versus if they're, making a joke or trying to get your number or something like that.
God, yes.
Which is like,
Oh, that's what the crew list is for.
Oh my God.
has that ever happened to you? Like, has someone ever called you?
Dude, I worked.
Okay, but like, I want to know. I want stories.
This is going to be a super cut of Steven going,
Have you never met
and us
people
going,
before?
This is like what I'm trying to get at. Like, this is not like a true or false or checklist. Yes, no. This is like open-ended questions. Like, give me a story, give me an example. I want people to know about this stuff.
He's like,
and be
relive
aware
your
of this.
trauma for my
the key that I
Very
so that I
true.
can learn.
No, I gotta say, like, one of my first jobs, or closer to the beginning, I was working as an AD, and we were shooting outside the tri-state area, and we met the executive producer that came from Yale, and when we got there, my partner, she was also producing, and another friend, woman.
He's
was
learning already.
I'm learning, right? I'm learning.
Oh,
I gotta
should we
learn-
get him a medal?
You guys are fucked, man. Like, this is shit that. Yeah, hold on a second. Like, this is important. Men need to learn this as well. So,
we
like,
should be
it's fair.
Males need to learn.
Males need to learn this as well.
Now you're just confusing him.
Yeah, you guys are just confusing me.
We're just gonna gaslight you. This is revenge mode.
That's how I'm gonna make the fucking thumbnail. Just you two yelling at me like. No, but like the executive producer came. The executive producer came by.
Are we being shrill?
You guys are.
It's awesome.
All right, can we restart this episode? Does somebody want to fill in for me? No, but we landed, and it was like after, I think the flight was like 9 hours and like a 3-hour drive. We got there, and the executive producer said, "I don't want them in my meeting." And I looked like, it wasn't even me. I was talking to another executive producer, and I walked by, and I just happened to hear, and I was like, "Excuse me, who?" I looked back, and it was the 2 female producers. And like, he was okay with having me, the AD, in the meeting, but looked at, it was a big thing. This was a big issue where, he came over. He got kicked off set, thank God. He eventually got kicked off set. But it was fucked up that he would say that to 2 female.
To women, yeah.
To women.
Female producers, you're saying, because you wouldn't say men producers, you would say male producers.
You'd say producer.
There's like, it's...
Yes,
an
but for the
adjective.
story, for the
That's fine.
purpose of the story.
You're good. You're
All right,
good.
I'm
You're
learning.
good. You're good, baby girl.
I'm not gonna lie. This is
Calling
funny.
Stefan baby girl might be the best description.
Bert's been waiting for someone to say it, and now he's fucking had to say it.
I love it. When you're building your crew, what do you look for? Are you going out of your way to try to hire other women, or are you just looking for people that are good personalities? And how do you decide that?
It's very hard to find, the right people, I guess. And I'm picky as fuck. And I have been very lucky to have met a bunch of people that I feel comfortable working with, who agree to work with me. And I think I prioritize like personality and whether or not they want to work with me, because sometimes they can be like really great and really charming, but they just cannot take me saying like, hey, do you mind getting me a stinger? You know, they're like, well, are you sure you need that? Because you don't, and they just question everything. Yeah. And I never know whether it's because they just have a problem with people telling them what to do, or because I'm a woman, or because I am short, or because my hair is fucking weird, or whatever. But I do also make an effort to find just a crew that looks like a fucking subway car. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily like, oh, I go for women and I hire women, or I only hire Mexicans, or I only hire people of color, or I only, you know, like just everything. And I end up half the time with half the crew being white dudes who are cis, heterosexual, whatever. Yep. But usually it's the ones that are great, but kind of like a no asshole policy is the approach.
I'm fine.
Rule number one.
And like, I said this to my friend the other day, and she laughed because I was saying about this one friend that I have who's a key grip, and I said I fuck with him because he's about liberation, and he's like a straight white dude, you know? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, he's not like, oh, I am for girl rights or whatever. He's like just the liberation of everybody, like poor people, you know, people with disabilities. Like he just tries to be as aware as he can about everything. And I'm like, I like that. I like that about him. I like, you know, having him around, and sometimes I get to work with him, and that's great.
Cool.
Yeah.
So some of the interest we've seen on our previous episodes is about rates. Right? Like, what do you get paid, or like, not you personally, but what does a gaffer get paid starting in the industry versus when they have experience? And then I'd actually want to also add, do you feel like there's a rate difference between you working as a woman versus a male?
I've been on sets where I did a Mercedes commercial. They asked me to gaff it. I said 810. And they were like, no. I can't remember what they gave me, but it was less than that. I don't know, it may have been 712 or something for 12 hours. And I was like, this is bullshit, you know, and whatever. I did the job, and when I'm on set, I find out that the key grip is making 810. And he said something like, well, good thing we're on a 10-hour. And I was like, no, the fuck we're not. What do you mean we're on? And he was like, you know, I was like, no, what is your rate? Because this is my rate. And he was like, well, you should have asked for. And I was like, I have emails to prove that I asked for a fucking 810. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God, that's so fucked up. And I was like, tell me about it. But then what do I do now? I'm already doing a fucking overnight in Long Island.
Yeah.
And
how much do I have to fight constantly?
Just
I already
send the
asked.
invoice for what you originally asked for.
They send it back, dude. You know what I mean? And it's always people trying to tell me like, well, you should use these words on your email, or less exclamation marks, or not say sorry, or da da da. And I'm like, it's never me.
Yeah.
Because I was very clear about what my rate was for that one thing. Like, and that was like fucking 3 years ago.
Fuck, man.
Aren't you mad?
I'm mad. Look, I'm mad because I work as
so much.
No, I get mad about this stuff because I work as a producer sometimes, or a production coordinator, where the producer comes up to me and says, hey, like, this is the fucked up shit. They'll go, this is what they're probably gonna ask for, try to get lower. And I get mad because I'm like, you should fairly pay your fucking employees.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that. They should get paid enough. And I've never had that situation, but I feel like if I was in that situation, I'd be like, yeah, but why am I paying this person the same level, $800 for 10 versus $700 for 12? That's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it should be the producer who goes, no, this we're going to pay them evenly. Yeah. Right? This is something that falls on the producer. Whether or not it falls on the client, I will know if that's necessary more than the producers who's just trying to reach the budget. Like, it's not I don't know if it's, I don't want to say it's not, but it's not.
It is, because they're the ones who chose that agency or that production company to do it for less money. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones who are also shortchanging. I'm not going to.
It's also interesting. It's those two positions. Like, if you're gonna do like a hierarchy of film set, I would argue like those two are the same. If not, the gaffer is just a little bit above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
but
like-
it's I don't see. I think it's the client that goes, "This is the price. Make it within the budget." It's the producer's fault that's going, "Well, I'm going to pay her less than I'm going to pay him."
Yeah.
Right? Like that's fucked. If you're trying to save money, wouldn't you just do 800 for 10 for both? I mean, 700
Or
for 12.
whatever, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the case? So
Yeah,
I
it
feel
should
like it
be.
falls more on the producer than the client, because the client's never privy to that shit, are they? They're not literally
No.
sitting to like here
But
looking at that.
I just, it doesn't sit right with me to say like, oh no, they're okay. It's not their fault. I'm like, let's just not talk about them because they are at fault for many other things. But
True, that's very true.
I don't want to be defending them.
Yeah, because I think that's definitely fucked. Everyone should just get paid the same way if you're on the same level.
But yeah, and anyway, that's one example of a thing. But then I don't know. I've had a couple projects this year where it was 1,000 for 10, and nobody made a fucking stink about that being my rate, you know. And then it's like plus kit fee, plus whatever.
So let's talk about a little bit about that, the rate itself. Like, what would you say is a good rate starting off for a first-time gaffer versus someone who's been in the industry longer?
I think it depends on the project. It's hard to say. It depends on who you are and how you are perceived too. Like, I can tell you that the first few years that I was here, I worked for free like crazy. Like, I worked for free so many jobs just to know people.
To get the
Well,
connection.
now you're
Yeah.
gonna piss off the comment section.
This is the thing. I don't think anybody should.
Right.
I don't think anybody should. I don't think I should have had to do it.
Yeah.
But I kind of fucking had to. And the other thing is, the first year I started working, I had just finished my master's, and I was on an extension of my visa that is called the OPT, Optional Practical Training, which gave me a work permit for 1 year. And I had to be working constantly. If I went for 2 weeks without work, I would have to go home.
So it didn't matter that you weren't getting paid.
It didn't matter whether or not I was being paid. I had
You
to
just
be
had
working.
to be consistently working.
And I had to report this work, right?
You're the only person that getting paid in experience has helped.
I guess. I guess.
Should they add that to Craigslist ads? Like you get like you're
If
getting
you're your OPT, are you an immigrant?
You're working for experience and a visa. Like
Yeah.
I mean, Craigslist, I don't know if I'd ever take a job off Craigslist.
I tried. They wouldn't take me.
So how do you, what
That's
do you,
the thing, dude, too. Like, they would see, an application. I tried Mandy, Craigslist, everything, right? And they would see a fucking application coming in from fucking Yessica Curiel-Montoya. Do you think they were like, yeah. Yeah, that's my gaffer.
what's your recommendation? Because you obviously can't work for free
You know
for
what?
everything.
No. And you shouldn't. I fucking hate that I had to. I would never tell people like, oh, you have to do a few years working for.
Yeah.
No. The first time I got a job that was $100 flat per day. Do you know how fucking stoked I was? Do you know how happy I was? I almost cried with joy. And it sucks, dude.
Yeah.
But I was so happy.
When was that? Like, how many years ago was that?
2013. 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And before I had been working in Mexico.
Back in 2013, $100, around
Inflation.
that's like $2,500 now. Yeah.
Pretty much. But yeah,
God.
and I see this thing on Instagram and like on fucking Grip and Electric and Film Instagram accounts, and like all these people are like, you should never work. And I'm like, well, maybe you should never work for free. I fucking had to. I hated it.
It's really easy to get on a high horse behind a computer.
Yeah. And also when your parents are paying your fucking rent in Williamsburg, right? Because I know a lot of those. Sorry.
Part of the show that I love the most is that when you say something, I'm like, fuck yeah. And then I look at you and you're like you give all the facial expressions. It's fucking great.
That face was not. That face was very much in solidarity.
Yeah.
I've had a job since I was like 14. Like, but yeah, fine.
It's like,
No one's ever.
you know what I mean?
For anything.
And I'm lucky
Those
that I
people.
don't need to send money to my parents. You know what I mean? I'm already like super fucking lucky. But you know, I did have to fucking work for free.
Previous
It
guests
sucked.
will talk about how, you know, like in hindsight is how you know what to charge, right, for the next job. So how was that transition? When did you make that transition to go on the next job? Like, fuck it, I'm asking for more than $100 for this job because you definitely know you should be getting more than $100. But like, what's that transition? Like, do you just like, fuck it, I'm going all out for it, or do you refer someone?
You know, I don't think it was like one thing for me. It was, I think, you know, a collection of just doing jobs and getting different rates and sometimes learning how much money other people were making and being like, wait, I'm actually more capable than that person or more experienced. Maybe I can ask for that same amount of money or things like that. But there was one job that I had that I came on sort of like as a PA utility person. And the DP was wonderful, but was doing like very simple lighting, right? And I saw that they had some gear. And I was like, hey, we can get those HMIs. Like, I can set them up. So I just gave myself more work. Mm-hmm. And then eventually she started paying me more, right? So I was like, oh, wait, like maybe on other jobs I can ask for more. And then before the $100 job, I was offered to just shoot like a live event, whatever. And they asked me how much I charged. It was going to be like 3 hours. And I was like, oh, $50. And they're like, an hour? And I was like, no, total. And the producer was like, are you fucking insane? Mm. Like, absolutely not. I'm going to pay you more, right? So she paid me more.
That's what you need.
So that helped me out a lot. Because I was like, oh, wait. So I guess people are making more money. I should be making more money, like, of course. And then at some point, like, my life expenses, you know what I mean? I realized, like, I needed to know how much money I was spending every month on, like, rent, utilities, fucking subway, or now, like, my car, gas, whatever. And kind of breaking it down and knowing how much I need to make every month or, you know, even it out. Yeah.
See, corporations really don't want people to talk about salaries because they don't want to know what someone's paying versus what someone else is getting paid. And I think stigma needs to change. Like, we need to talk to each other so that people know what, like, well, okay, we should be getting, this should be our rate, right?
That's like a generational thing too. Like Gen Z is like, how much do you make? There's like a whole movement now where the younger people are like, I don't fucking care. It's money. We talk about it. You're supposed to talk about it. Yeah. But I think for us, it was like, no. Like, no one ever talked about how much they made. You didn't want to know because what if you made less or what if you made more? And, you know, it's tricky. But that is changing.
We were very much indoctrinated to not talk about it.
I mean, we're not even supposed to have our own credit cards without our husband signing off on it. So, you know.
And how'd you get those?
Like you were saying, there was a job that you were on. You found out that the key grip was making more than you. Yeah. But you have a key grip that you work with a lot. Is when you guys are going in, or if you know that who else is going to be on the show that you're going on to, or the commercial or whatever, do you talk to them about it? Like, hey, we should both in. Absolutely. We should go in asking for this. Like,
absolutely. But right, like we usually. Most of the people that I work with on my team, we talk about it, and we talk even about like different jobs that we did, or, you know, about our rates or kit fees that we managed to get or whatever. But there are times when I'm fucking packed with work, and also I have like a life outside of work. So I am doing a bunch of things, and someone asks me to gaff something, and they're like, rec me a key grip. And so I text, you know, whoever my friends is available. If they are, I'm like, I'm sending your information to production. And sometimes I try to always be straightforward with the rate, or tell them how much I'm making or how much they should ask because I'm making the same or whatever. But sometimes you forget. And sometimes I just expect production to not be trash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I've had so many times where they're like, oh, the gaffer rate is $850 and the key grip is $350. And I'm like, are you? What? They're like, well, it's just the key grip. I'm like, What do you think our jobs are?
Writing
It should be more like, well, it's the key grip. Like,
It's just a really inexperienced producer who's trying to make it seem like they know more than they know.
When you're deep into the into prep, and I'm like, oh, this job is going to be a nightmare. I thought this was going to be fun, and this is going to be a nightmare because you don't even know what I do, and you think a key grip is like a GNEPA or some shit like.
I love you don't know what I do. I almost got fired on a job once as the gaffer because one of the producers didn't like the camera operator. So they came in and they were like, all of you are fired. And I was like, why? And they're like, well, he's not doing a good job. I was like, I don't work for him. I'm a fucking different department. What do you have with me? Well, you're doing, then don't fire me. Like, it was a very weird kind of like, you have no idea what's going on. You think the whole crew is one unit? And if you don't get one of them, you don't get any of them? What's happening right now?
Somebody above that person said something specific. You need to fire the camera operator, and they heard department, and that meant the whole crew. Like, that was someone who had zero experience.
And I was like just getting started out at that point, and I was like, I remember going, wait, what? Like, I know more than that. Yeah, I was like, how are you like in charge of something if you haven't like, I don't know.
They have no clue.
I have trouble with a lot of departments like that because they try to, you know, like if you only learn what your one department does, you can't help anybody else. Like you should have the absolute base sense of what happens on set with like, you know, most like, I don't need to know exactly what like the on-set dresser does, but if I know that like they're probably in charge of moving this thing because I need to put a light there, I'm going to go fucking talk to them. That helps me. That helps them. Yeah. I'm not breaking shit. You know, it's like you need to understand a little bit of every single job. You know,
have an idea of what it is.
Yeah. Or why the fuck are you here? You know, like.
And especially the producer should know whatever. But I am about to work with a producer that I love. He just knows very well like what everybody does, and it's so evident during pre-production and like just making a list, and it's just like when you work with a producer that knows their shit and that who knows what you do and what everybody does, it's just so magical.
Yeah. Was that how you started working with Corey? Did you hire her on a production?
The first time we worked together was an Intel commercial, and I was the production designer / producer because my company is like...
Because they don't know what people do on set.
Turn your bottle.
I'm like the people person at the company. Like I know the crew. Like anytime we have to crew a job, it's like, Corey, do you know anybody? Yes. Like I always do. And going back to like, just very briefly, like an earlier question about like, do you pay attention to like hiring women sometimes or hiring people of color or hiring whatever? Like, I think in this day and age, it is okay to consciously say to yourself, you know what? I want a more diverse crew on this. I want to give more opportunities here. Like, you know, we were on set. We had a job. We had a job. I caused quite a stir. We had a job in LA. I was on one job, and another friend of mine was producing another job, and sent a picture of the crew, and it was like, great first day, and it was like 12 white men wearing blue plaid shirts and jeans.
Wow.
They were all wearing the same outfit, and I was like, wow, really made our diversity and inclusion goals on that job, guys. And it got like started a huge fight. And I was like, I mean, I was giving you shit, but like, I know that it's hard. Like, you hire who you hire, but like, and that started this conversation with my company that was like, actually, let's try, like, it's okay to say it out loud and say, we are trying harder. And so now, you know, whenever I'm producing a job, I am very conscious about it, especially the content. Like, we just did a whole big series for It Gets Better. That's an organization that is about LGBTQIA plus people. The whole crew, as much as we could, because the people on camera want to see themselves reflected in the crew a lot of times. True. I don't know. Like, it's a thing. Anyway,
that's
so
nice.
That job, I was like, I had worked with Alexa.
With Alexa. I was covering Alexa because she was...
Who's Alexa, just so we know?
Alexa is another...
The goat.
She's the goat.
A great gaffer.
She is the fucking goat. She is the greatest.
Okay.
She's amazing. Like,
And you were working with her, and then you made the introduction?
So she couldn't do the scout, I believe.
Something like that.
Or I was BBE for her, because I'll do whatever Alexa tells me to do if I'm free. She's
Me
like,
too.
hey, come. I'm like, yeah.
I will always do anything Alexa tells me to do.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's how we met, because I came on the scout. Because I've done that for Alexa a bunch of times, where I'll like cover her on the scout and then came on as her BBE, or just do the scout and then she does the project because she's, working and can't make the scout or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's how how we met.
Yeah, and like for me having other women on set, like that's nice. Like for a long time that never happened.
Yeah.
It's so rare. It was so rare. And I feel like things are changing and now you see much more diverse sets, and like depending on the department, there's always a lot of women in the art department, there's always a lot of women in HMU. There's a lot of women in production, but like G&E, that's like Alexa.
It's a big department to get into like that, to break into.
I have my girl in LA.
Something that I wanted
who I
to
love,
say about like the inclusion and looking for people and whatever. We also need to look at the things that we do to keep those people out of the departments, and out of the industry and out of set. Because it's not just bringing them in to make them uncomfortable and take a picture of them and post it on Instagram about how inclusive we are. You have no idea how many times I've had my picture taken so that some production company can put it online.
That's weird.
Very often, almost never with my permission, right? And hashtag it all types of girl gaffer, female gaffer, girly filmmaking girl, Friday film girl, baby girl gaffer. Like all this shit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all those things. But I am not a thing that you use online to pat yourself in the back about how I am like
inclusive,
like a light brown fucking lady doing a thing, and now you're like very good, and like meanwhile some guy was harassing me and you were like, don't be so sensitive. That didn't necessarily happen on one occasion, but those things happen. And the thing is, like, for example, in G&E, women are very often like, they'll start and they want to do it and they love lighting, right? But you're young and you're starting out, and guys, holy shit, don't let you just do the job, right? They just don't let you. They are just constantly on your ass, and it's a job that's already really hard. And now there's a man groping you. Like, you're just gonna be like, fuck this. I'm just gonna be a babysitter, dude. I'm just gonna go work retail because fuck this.
Yeah.
And there's that, but for people of color too, and like how we like keep them out of sets, and keep us or whatever, and how we keep women out of sets, so it's not just bringing people in for the sake of it looking right. Okay,
it's making a safe environment to work in.
Thinking about what we do that makes people like not feel comfortable and like not organically be a part of our sets.
Because you can hire them once, but do they want to come back?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And like also making room for, gender non-conforming women, people of color, and disabled people, or like whatever, to not be fucking perfect at all times. You know what I mean? To make mistakes. Because some of the shit that I've seen some dudes get away with on set, I'm like, and they keep getting hired.
You mean what they're saying, or what they're doing?
And what they do, like just fuck up, be rude to production, be terrible, right? And they keep getting hired, or be lazy as shit.
Why don't people own up to the shit they fuck up?
Because
insecurity.
They won't get rehired. That's why
people are insecure.
It's insecurity. It's insecurity.
One of my biggest pet peeves on set is asking, "Hey, why is this?"
Yeah.
And fucking dead silence.
No, but we talked about that in a previous episode. We said that like you won't, if some shit goes wrong, you don't want to go, it's my bad, because you won't get hired for the next job.
I think you do.
Like,
I think you want to say.
Wouldn't you rather be the person that's stepping up, learning from their mistake, and wanting to do better next time, than the person that's just like, I hope they don't fucking find out?
I respect people so much more when they own up to, when they say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'm like, Love you, baby girl.
Yeah, won't let you happen. Won't let it happen again.
And the thing is, like, if you're working with someone who's like not a fucking psychopath, they'll be like, all right, try to do better. Thank you for recognizing it. We'll bring you again.
Yeah.
If you're working with someone terrible, they'll scream at you, right, and never hire you again. But do you really want to keep working with those people?
No. You don't.
Or
right?
just fucking ask questions.
Yeah.
Like you can be on one job with somebody and you can learn so much because instead of staying in the background and not doing anything,
pretending you know something that you don't know.
Then you'd like, hey, why are you doing it that way?
I agree, but also when they're not looking for excuses to prove that you don't belong there, right? Because a question coming from you might not always be received the way that a question coming from me will be received.
Perception.
You know what I mean? A question coming from you means you're eager and you want to learn. A question coming from me probably means that I don't know shit and I really shouldn't be here and I'm an affirmative action hire and and this is why fucking women, now we have to work with them and now we maybe, obviously I'm extrapolating.
Exactly. But I'm learning a lot of words here today.
But sorry. but
keep them coming, folks.
I am curious about this because it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, like I want people to show up and I want them to learn, but it's like you also don't want the hero or it's like there's a difference between like
what I tried to do and I tried to do it without being condescending or rude. Usually when I'm working with someone new, or especially if they're like clearly young and like just got out of school or whatever, I'll be like, hey, thank you for coming, whatever, this is this person, whatever. If at any point you don't feel safe doing something or you don't feel comfortable, ask me. Yeah. I am a big fan of explaining to people how things should be done or how I like doing them. If I ask you to bring me a fucking stinger and you don't know what a stinger is, ask me what a stinger is. Because we have shorthands for, and like slang, I don't know if it's slang, like just words for things. Yeah. And I forget that people don't fucking know what 80-60 apple means. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So ask me. And I think like it really helps when we open that door for people to feel comfortable asking questions. And even then, they might still not feel super comfortable asking those questions for the reasons that you were explaining. But I think it's also up to us to make room for that.
There's something to be said too, where like going into a class, like at school, I had a very different mindset when I was at Mass Art because like I wanted to do narrative projects and all they were teaching me was like how to do like this like weird art stuff. And there is this kind of weird thing. And I had experience working on sets and none of them had ever taught me any of the stuff that I learned on set. If I'm going into a job and the head of my department is like, shut the fuck up, this is what we're doing, I'm going to listen to that person. Because it's a job. Right. Like, it's not, I'm not paying this facility to teach, like, it's true. like this teacher in my experience I was like, why am I not getting what I'm paying for out of this?
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right.
It was that difference.
You're absolutely right. But that's really good. So let's bring that around to answering the question, Yessica, about how you feel. What? This is a good segue.
We don't know yet.
Well, I'm getting there, but it's fucking ruining it.
That was
that's a good point. So now I'm gonna fuck up my segue. I was like the elephant in the room. So I'm waiting for John to be like, hang on one second. No, so that talks about a lot of experience when you're working in school versus on set. What advice do you give to our followers and females? No, women. I'm not a fucking A. No, listen, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm willing to acknowledge it, and I'm fucking man enough to say, or I'm male enough to say, that I'm coming back for it. Okay, so as long as I'm willing to correct myself,
Yes.
fuck
You're
it.
doing great.
I'm doing great.
You're doing
Hang
great.
on a second.
No, John, no more. Sorry, that was loud on the mic. No more, John. No more interruptions. I want to know what advice you would be giving to people on set that are looking to get in the industry.
Damn. So I'm about to get philosophical now. I don't know, man. It's just like, I kind of love it in many ways. I really, it sounds mad corny, but I'm like sort of passionate about light. Don't let anybody hear. Like, I think it's really cool, like what you can do with it and how you can shape it and all the colors and all the shit and how you can just completely change how people perceive something without dialogue, without anything, just with the fucking light, right? Like, oh, how amazing, right? But then I'm like fucking doing this for Tide Pods so that I get to like to convince people to buy more Tide Pods, or
They look good enough to eat.
and snackable, you know.
Hold on, we
And the
need to have
thing
a
is, like,
disclaimer.
I'm
Don't eat Tide Pods. That trend is over.
Do not eat Tide Pods.
And I'm like totally okay with doing it for money, right? But then sometimes I get to work with some people who are heads of my department, who are above me, who kind of act like this is a very serious thing that we're doing. And while we should take it seriously, we should maybe chill the fuck out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And not fucking go all like over a little commercial. Like we're here because we chose to not be doing other jobs that are also very hard and just as thankless, right? Because this one is kind of fun, or it should be, I think, to an extent. You still take it seriously, but chill. It's just a commercial, or it's just fucking TikToks. I do so many TikToks nowadays, right?
Thing, yeah.
And it's like, it's great when people are like, yeah, this is a TikTok. We'll be careful. We'll do a good job. We'll, get our light right, because we can do that.
Yeah.
But
We'll get our light really flat for your TikTok.
usually, no, you have to be aware of what emotions are. You have to be emotionally intelligent to do a good job in film, and even if it's just fucking TikToks, right?
Under pressure.
But you don't have to be emotional about it. You don't have to put your emotions into it.
Do you still have that passion where
numb
like
out.
you're watching, like when you watch a movie, you're like, why the fuck they do it that way? Like, do you
Enjoy
still kind of like, do you have that, or are you just like, no, it's a job and I'm separating my life from that job?
Well, I definitely try to separate my life from all of the jobs.
Yeah.
But I do think that I can be very passionate about some jobs, which is not the same as being like emotionally like involved on a personal level.
You're not
like,
saving the world.
Exactly.
Right.
And if I try to do something and it doesn't quite work out, or we actually, we have all these plans and then the budget doesn't allow us to do that. And so instead we just have to do a little fucking booklight with Aperture 1200 or whatever.
You know who puts this podcast on, right?
Yeah. That's that's it. I mean, maybe I didn't
Say it
include
with
that in the production email. Did it say shitty rings on the bottom somewhere?
That's not a booklight is not a shitty ring.
No,
But
it's like, we don't have the budget to do it good. That's
But this is a good segue, because I want to know, like, when you're working on these
another good
productions.
segue.
Oh my god.
If I can get through it, it'd be good.
I don't know. You know that we'll judge if it's a good segue based upon your follow-up question too. This is a good segue.
But I'm also, if I subconsciously put it in your mind in the beginning, you'll be like, oh, it's a good segue.
No.
She's trying to gaslight us.
They're women. They've trained their whole lives against that.
I can see it coming from
So you're telling them what they've done?
What?
I don't know. I want to get to my segue.
Are you going to talk about craft?
No, I was going to talk about
Mac and cheese?
No, shut up. I was talking about passion versus budget, right? Like when you're on the job and you're working the job and you want to take it seriously and you don't have the budget, right? Some people tend to freak out, like, what do we do? What do we do? And then there are other people that we believe are more creative that start coming up with shitty rigs, right? Do you have any experience where you've been on set and you don't have what you need and you're like, fuck it?
That was a good segue.
That was a good segue.
And you ruined it.
You see?
No, you
Hold on a second. That was a good segue.
We'll just have to now cut from me saying that there's two shots to not go to her.
don't really have to. I'm Mike Farino. I started Shitty Rigs.
Corey is the best co-host. Let's just throw that in.
That is definitely a Mike Farino. She just went, oh, you don't have to. Yeah. You're a fit bestie.
Great. I'm glad.
Anyway, yes.
That's it. Just
Yes, that's it. It was a yes or no question. No. There's one feature that I did many years ago that I gaffed for this Romanian DP. And it had like an okay budget for an indie, but everything was a oneer. And it was a DP that I really admired. He shot. Wait.
Yeah, no, go. Like you're just pointing out.
Your face was like.
Yeah.
It's like fuck that.
Because it makes everything flat. Usually it's like, okay, we can't put anything on the ground. You're going to look around. We're going to walk through the whole set. So we got to light everything from the grid, and we're going to be over here and over here and over here, and everything's right on each point that they have to land. So there's just no like magic usually. But
there's no grippage.
Yeah, go on.
There's
like,
very little.
I wasn't trying to interrupt. I'm blaming Corey for that.
So it was the DP who shot 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. I don't know if you ever saw that. It's like old winners, and he shoots a lot like that. I really admired him before. I worked for him. What? And still do. I didn't mean it like that. Yeah. Like I just very often I work with people that I've never met before. You know what I mean? And he wanted to do all oneers. We had to have just like a very clean 1-point run. It was almost everything was 360. And we ended up going with a bunch of kinos, but we had like a not so big grip team either, and me and my best came up with like a thing to gut the kinos and put them in a little bit of beadboard with the silver side here, and we just taped the kinos with paper tape, the bulbs, to the like just 6 inches by 4 feet of beadboard, taped them there, and then with black wrap, and sometimes just with 4-inch paper tape.
Wow.
Just barn door them so that we could just tape them to fucking certain points in, at the corners of the wall with the ceiling. So we would just like go up there with tape and tape them. And the key grip, oh my God. I did not get along very well with him for a while, and then we got along better, and then it was a struggle. But the first week, he was like, oh my God, that's absurd. I'm going to give you points, and like, why? And I was like, are you actually going to give me the points, though? Like, quickly, in the time that we need? Because, it would be lovely if we had a team, and we had a pre-light, and we had all these things. But the reality of what we are doing, we can't do that because we were, indie, moving kind of fast. Right. And then on the third day, he was like, I'm just going to give you points because this is absurd. I was like, bet. He spent like 3 hours gripping, like just giving me the points, right? And then we go in, and then it was... Because we had like really low ceilings.
Lower.
We had really low ceilings already.
Shit.
And so... and I was like, bro, we're just going to go through tape, and it's not going to look cute. And this is not for your little fucking Instagram set life shit. Like, we're just going to get this job done. And that DP was so good with light, and he had such good understanding, because he was like a physicist before, so he actually like understood light, right? Like on every fucking possible level. So he was like really great, and he was like one of the most chill DPs, if not people altogether, that I ever worked with. And that made me want to work so much harder for, to get things right. Because he was like, oh, nice. Oh, I love that idea. And, I don't know what it is. I think it kind of works that way for most people. If you're encouraging, if you tell people like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's great. Oh, I like that. People go like, yes, and they want to work harder, right? Or if you tell someone you're doing a really great job, half the time people are like, you ain't seen anything. Let me show you a great job. And they do. But if you tell someone like, you're being slow, I need you to work faster.
Right.
People are like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Automatic defense, like, no.
No, I'm
feel like
busting
the
my
shitty
ass and you're being a
rigs-
dick.
Yeah.
I feel like the Shitty Rigs community hearing that story is just going to be like, if this was live, it would be like heart.
Well, it's on TikTok right there.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah, anyway, that's one case of like doing a shitty rig out of passion.
So
really,
something like that. It's like you find yourself in a difficult situation. You have to do this thing. You've worked your way up through the ranks. Like, you're in charge. What are the things that you make sure you have with you that you know, I have one day I can get this done? Like, what's in your kit that you're bringing with you on something like a scout that you're like, no matter what the fuck they throw at me, because I don't know what the hell it's going to be, I can make this work. Like,
Great question.
for scout and for
the
shooting.
for the whole thing. So it's like I'm going on the scout. I need to know what the parameters of this situation are. I need to know how I can translate this information to my team tomorrow. I need to know blah 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 blah. Like, what do you have with you when you go on to a job like this?
Definitely a tester, tape measure, light meter, iPad, and a notebook with a pen or a pencil. What else? I think that I feel like I end up using the notebook with a pen the most sometimes. It's easier for me to explain to someone with a little drawing, like, okay, so this. And the iPad I use to like maybe take notes or sometimes do a little lighting diagram or things like that. But yeah, like I keep it pretty simple for the scout, I think.
And then what about on set?
Definitely those same things. The iPad, the tablet, because sometimes you need to, for lights, it's quicker.
Right, if that's your console.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes. I try to bring in my kit a lot of like small, simple things that like might save your life and kind of like almost expendables. But I try to like always, for example, always fucking have cube taps. Because you get them with the expendables or whatever, but if you run out of them, like having 3 cube taps in your little bag is gonna save you. Pig noses, ground lift adapters, have a bunch of like assorted. I have like a little baggie with assorted dumb shit like that.
What was that? You said pig?
Pig nose.
Pig nose.
What's that?
You screw this like little thing into Edison bulb base, and you can plug an Edison connector right
if
there.
you look at it from the front, it looks like a
like a
circle
pig
with
nose.
2 lines. So it looks like a pig's nose.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
G&E has
So
lot of
like
clever names for
sometimes
things.
you're trying to do whatever, put a light there, and that it can't be a drop or whatever, and just that saves your life.
Yeah. There's
know?
we're in this room. This room has no outlets, but it's got that light.
Yeah,
So we can screw into that light bulb
And, like,
and
boom.
drop a stinger out of it.
Smart.
that type of random shit. Deodorant.
for everyone, like a 12-pack, and just pass it out.
Gotta be the spray.
am so
Everyone's not rubbing it on.
I am so serious. That's a key element of my toolkit. Deodorant, gum, hot sauce, wired surveillance.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Surveillance. But yeah, definitely. No, deodorant is a big one.
Yeah.
That's making me feel self-conscious right
No.
now, and I realize that
She did give you a little bit of a look. She went
Probably.
deodorant.
She didn't slap you.
Not at all. No, but like, you're going to be around people and if you don't have to smell great. Shower daily. We'll do a lot of
You don't
work.
have to smell. That's the sentence.
Low bar. We can all,
not smell.
Yeah. What else? Band-Aids, because sometimes, production has them, but good God, does it take them a long time to get them?
They're in the van, and the PA's doing a run for coffee right now, so you gotta wait 20 minutes.
I feel like your kit aligns really perfectly with like an apocalypse go bag. like I think you should. This is just a general note to the population: when the shit goes down, like have a gaffer or a key grip in your life.
A knife.
You won't regret it. Oh, and a knife.
Always.
Yeah.
Always a knife, multi-tool.
Oh, that's like a window breaker one.
Yeah.
The first time I met you, you had a huge black eye, humongous. You were like on a ladder, turned away from me, and and I was like, "Are you Jessica?" And you turned around and you had this huge black eye, and I was like, "Huh?" you were like, "Yeah, I'm Jessica," and I was like, "Looking good," and you were like, "It's not what you think," and I was like, "I didn't think that." Like, I didn't think that at all. Like, I think probably you were doing something fucking fun. Like, what happened?
Best 2 weeks of my life. I actually, a gobo head fell on my face.
Oh, that's not fun.
And it cut open a tiny bit, but then gave me like a huge black eye. Got me 2 solid weeks of no catcalling on the streets.
That's like
Sweet.
that's your initiation to the department, right? Like that's like I'm in.
It came a little late.
And that was, yeah, no, it was not even that long ago. It was like...
Yeah, this wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was bad because I always have bruises from work or like little scratches or little, I've had multiple incidents. But this one was like very visible. It was like it came down to here and it was like,
wow.
It was big. Like,
it was huge.
Older women were stopping me on the street to ask me if I needed help
Yeah.
and to like tell me that they will take me wherever
Yeah.
And I was like, there was a work incident.
Where you start like wearing an eye patch just to be like, this is me now.
It was bigger than that.
I always wear an eye patch.
Yeah, no, it was like really big, and it lasted like almost 3 weeks for it to go away completely.
Wow.
It was really bad.
It was crazy.
It was really bad.
Do you think there's anything that we didn't talk about that you wanna tell people?
Touch on any stories.
My Sesame job is a really good one that I didn't get to talk about that I really love.
Go for
Your
it.
Sesame
Us.
job?
But I'm camera operator there.
So tell us about
I
it.
really
Still
love
doing
it.
that?
Yeah.
Fucking go.
I am a camera operator for Sesame Street sometimes. The culture of the place is really great. Like everybody is very kind and patient. And my boss there, the DP on that thing, amazing dude. Like sometimes I've seen people talk to him in ways that I'm like, oh, I would not be okay with that. If I'm like, I'm ready to fight for him. And he, like the way he handles everything, I'm like taking notes. I'm like, that's how I want to be when I grow up. And it's like sort of like a ecosystem where like we're all learning so much when we're shooting those episodes and those like things, because there have been techniques about how to calm yourself down when you're getting upset over something that it's and it's like for Elmo for 4-year-olds.
But everyone in the crew is going.
And everyone on the crew, we're like, yo,
following along. No, I know.
There was one about grief that we did recently.
Oh, God.
That had me fucked up. Because I was like, I saw that it was gonna be about grief, and I was like, well, it's good. I'm sure. My dad died like almost 3 years ago, so I've read books like therapy, and I'm like, it's like a thing that you carry. But I was like, I've done my, I know grief. I know that it's hard. I know how to.
Yeah.
Seeing like the little puppets being like, Mommy, why Daddy something. I'm like, with the camera, I'm like, just crying. Yeah. And then I was like, maybe it's just me, because I'm sensitive to the subject. Also, the puppet had like a name that was like similar to mine. And it was like she's talking to her mom and the dad. It was like there were like a few similarities with my situation. So I was like, it's just me. It's just me. This is too close to home. And at one point I turn around and everybody's just fucking crying there. We're all processing like decades of grief.
Oh, 100%.
I think the takeaway there is to watch a little more Sesame
Just more
Street,
Sesame.
either with your
Everyone.
kids,
In all our lives.
just
Everyone.
take a little bit of that.
It's true with any time I've worked with any Muppet production, any like Henson Workshop or Sesame, like the vibe is you could be the most misbehaved macho like full of yourself whatever person who thinks they're hot shit. The minute you get on a set with a Muppet, everyone is the same.
option.
Everyone's like, oh my god,
Yeah, we have no option.
It's the cow puppet.
Yeah.
It's the cow puppet. Like not even like a named puppet. It's just the cow puppet. Even the cow puppet. People are like, it's like our childhood
Yeah.
presented because Sesame Street was everywhere for everyone.
yeah.
Like the Muppets were for everyone everywhere, and like the vibe totally changes.
Sometimes I have like big famous people, you know, and they are losing their shit
Yeah.
over the puppets,
Yeah.
and they want pictures and videos with the puppets,
Mm-hmm.
and like they're like, oh my god, there was someone who was like, I love Grover, I love him, oh my god, and Nora kept being like calling him, and she was like, I can't believe it, and she's like losing her mind.
Yeah,
It's
and the
super cute.
puppeteers are like goofballs who
You're like-
they never
So
stop. They never like if
Same
you if
character.
the director's like cut. Someone will say something off set or somewhere, and the puppets are still going. They're like riffing on whatever someone's saying.
like, that's so cool.
Someone burps or something, and they'll be like, "Wow, classy." And the other puppet will make some like really adult
They're so
joke.
clever. They're so clever. They're like
they're
on
comedians.
everything. Yeah,
They're hilarious.
it's really funny because as long as the hand is up, they're like
Yeah, that's them.
in character, and then they're like "Wah, wah, whatever, and then they'll be like, but wait, and then
Yeah.
they're themselves, and then the hand goes up, and they're back to the.
And then they're like, "Okay, did you get that note, idiot?" You know,
Exactly.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to photograph them when they're not working. Like
Right.
you are forbidden. You cannot take a picture of a Muppet like in
That's
a
like-
case.
Yeah.
They call it a dead Muppet because if it ever got leaked out,
Yeah, you can't kill
a
that.
little kid would be like, "Oh, it's dead."
Yeah.
Like for real, they get it super serious. You have to
So
like sign
upset.
things.
Yeah.
They're super serious about it.
So tell us about Elmo's death. Rest in peace, Elmo. So thanks. Much love, childhood. On that note, honestly, Yessica, thanks for coming out today. You've really killed it. We've learned so much from the perspective of a woman.
Hey, no problem, baby girl.
Thanks.
Well done.
It's been very helpful having your point of view and learning more about being a gaffer on set and the experiences that you face versus other people and how we grow and become a better production over time, right? That's the idea. We get better every time.
Definitely.
You
Thank
hope.
you for having me.
We hope. So yeah, thanks again. We'll hope to have you back on soon. We want to give a thanks to our sponsor, Wink. They are really phenomenal. Check them out. No alcohol, just THC. And boy, do I feel good. And our fifth bestie, Corey. Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
What? My name is Mike Farino.
Sorry. Mike, thanks for having you. Shit.
I'm
And that's a wrap.